found The Naked Truth. Lively discussions about business, marketing, and personal development for small business owners. No hype, just help.
It's Tuesday. Tuesday. It's
We need a
Tuesday.
tool.
It's Tuesday.
Your tool. You're evangelizing on this one. You showed this to me briefly once. I'm excited to take a deeper look at it.
Yeah.
We're back to the dreaded topic of funnels, though.
Of funnels. But before we do, we have candy so far on our wheel of names, which we will spin Friday. So if you are commenting today, if you're engaging with us today, if you're hopping in and just having a conversation with us, your name is going to be added to the wheel of names. And on Friday, we'll spin it and we'll see, maybe you're going to win something. So comment, engage, let us know you're there.
With Pop and the Kisser. That's what you're going to get on Friday.
Yeah, with my Creed video, right? Love that Creed video. So what we're talking about today is funnels. And what are funnels? Do you need funnels? I'm anti-funnels, but funnels can be good, right? So a funnel only means a pathway, right? So if you're engaging with people, how do you lead them through a pathway, through a journey that ends up with them either referring you, either buying from you, either sharing with you, either engaging with you? That's what a funnel is, right? And when you're doing that online, there are so many moving parts and so many people tell you so many things that you need, where the truth is you only need 3 things. 1 page for people to opt in to receive, for you to have their email or their phone number. It's 1 page. Opt in, give me your email and your phone number in exchange for something. 2 is the thank you page. Thank you, you opted in. And 3, here's the results that you get, right? I promise you something in the opt-in page that is valuable enough for you to give me your email or your phone number. Thank you for giving me your email and your phone number. Here's what I promised you in exchange for your email and phone number. So it's a 3-step funnel.
Now, wait a minute. If that's how simple it is, why do I need the freaking tool to plan out a thing that I only need 3 things for?
Because most people are not, it's not enough, right? For most people, if you're a marketer online, this 3-step funnel is not enough. Usually there's a webinar or there's an upsell or you're trying to do something with the funnel. But in the basic form, it's just 3 things, right? I'm going to give you I'm going to promise you something. You're going to give me your email and your phone number, and I'm going to give you what I promised you. That's the beginning of our relationship with each other. Now, what happens after that? Now that I have your free email and your phone number, this is where the nurturing begins. This is where the conversation begins.
Pollute the process as much as possible. That's what happens. You call it nurturing, I call it polluting. Isn't that interesting?
But I'll disagree with you because your emails are fantastic. You always give value. You always send like really great
I know.
stuff.
It's true. It's true. So I think this is where, funnels are just... gosh, what's the way? I've been trying to do funnels for years, and one reality is I've never spent as much time and energy on it as I should, and that's why I don't get the results I really wish I would get. And second of all, there's a legitimate challenge to building really effective funnels, right? Like people like to make it sound like it's so easy. You just do the thing, and you're like, no, it's not that easy.
So that's where the tool comes in, right? So now this is where this tool, it's called Geru. For some reason, is that how you pronounce it? Geru?
Sure, if you say so.
I don't know. Geru, something. But that's the funnel simulation tool. And basically what it allows you to do, and this is the complicated stuff that Paul was talking about. You can become really, really complicated with funnels. But what this tool does, it allows you to basically build a very simple funnel, right? Opt-in page, buy my stuff, thank you for buying my stuff. And now you can connect it to different things. You can connect it to your email, right? And you can say, okay, the email is going to come in here. and you can connect it to a webinar or an upsell page or a downsell page. You can create this funnel as complicated as this one if you wanted to. But what this allows you to see is like, is it even worth to complicate it? Because you're going to come in here and you're going to start putting data in. You're going to say like, okay, if I have 1,000 people or 100 people coming into my opt-in page and a certain percentage of them actually buys from me, then how much money am I going to make? Right? And then you can test it. You'll be like, okay, what if I send them a few emails and the email increase the percentages of the sales by blah, blah. Then is it worth going through all this trouble to get the end result what I want it to be? And that's what this tool allows you to do. Now, the funniest thing about this whole stuff is I think it's like a vanity number when you call it like percentage, right? That is like the worst metric ever, because I'm like, oh my God, we just grew by 600%. Right, we moved from $1 to, $60. That doesn't mean shit. But we grew by so much, right? So percentage is like the weirdest variable that sometimes means something, most time it doesn't. It really depends on what you're playing with, right?
What would you use instead?
There isn't, but it's just a funny metric. Kind of like,
Yeah.
look, we grew by 600%.
Yeah.
And we still
Yeah.
can't pay rent, right? Like,
Right? Yeah.
so those numbers are funny. So like, rather than working with percentage, it'll be better to do obsolete, right? Like if I have 100 people, right? Like I want 100 people in. So you're going back to the percentage, but it's kind of like, I don't care like how big or small the percentage is, as long as the end result is the numbers that I want in to get in. Does that make sense?
Sure. Okay.
So if I want 100 people at the end, and yes, I have to use percentage, because like, let's say 3% convert, then I need 3,000 people to start with to get 100 people at the end. But if I add an email, or if I add a call, or if I add a webinar, and now it's not 3%, it's 2.5%, right? So now I need less people to come in.
So let me stop you for a second. I think what you're talking about now is, again, you've been in this world for years, and so it's easy for you to talk about it like so normally. But I think for a lot of small business owners, this is an important thing, is to go back to your idea of, you're like 3%. Like that's important to zoom in on, is that when you're, that's the kind of margin that's really common, right? If you're working on a product launch in the modern era of selling things on the internet, your typical response rate, or I have to be careful because I don't use it's not even response rate, it's conversion rate, right?
Yeah.
If you can convert 3% of the people who go through your funnel, that's considered success,
yeah.
right?
3% is good. Yeah. So again,
3%,
it's a number, right? But it's like 3% into $5, 3% into $100, 3% into $1,000, right? That's where.
But the standard, regardless of the price, is 3% is good, right?
Well, 3% into high ticket items. You should get more like 20% into low ticket items.
On low ticket items?
Yeah, because they're a no-brainer, right? So if you.
But I think, don't you think a lot of small business owners are hoping that, like, if I can get 100 people to watch this webinar, I should be able to sell it to 50 of them? And you're like, that's not really how it works. Like,
we wish, right?
right. And there could be a part where you get the right 100 people and you knock it out of the park with your presentation, and maybe you do. But a lot of the time, this is where, again, I think, you and I always talk about the smoke and mirrors. There's a lot of marketing people out there selling marketing programs where what they're not, like, they'll tell you about this great campaign they did where they converted 27%, and you're like, yeah, but most of the time we're working on 3.
Right. And they don't tell you that the 27% were warm audience, not cold traffic. So they already know them, they already trust them, they already worked with them, they already, so there's some experience there.
Right.
So yeah, from cold traffic to convert cold traffic, it's very, very low percentage, which is why people spend so much money on ads to kind of like, we just want to grow the numbers at the beginning, right? So if I have 10,000 people, 3% is fantastic. If I have 1,000 people, 3% not so good. If I have 100 people, 3% really sucks.
Right.
Right. And so, yeah.
you get to a point where that's great. That's a great, and you think, and this is where, again, you're talking about a 0.5% being a lot of times a significant difference,
Right.
right? Like if you can just get from 2.5% to 3%
Yeah.
on a bigger ticket item, that's a big deal, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah, it's a lot, right? So if
yeah,
you're selling $25,000 masterminds, right? One more person a year, that's fantastic. One more person a
yeah,
month, that's amazing, right?
yeah,
So, and the challenge is really most people are stuck on the low ticket items. And so what happens with the low ticket items, you're coming in here, right? So someone goes from a Facebook ad to an opt-in page usually. And an opt-in page, all it means is like, they opt into your email or your SMS. That's what it means, right? This is also called like a lead magnet or a squeeze page. It's just one page on your website that grabs people email and SMS, right? If they're willing to give you. And then usually it doesn't go directly to an order form. It goes usually to the thank you page where you have the thing that you opted in for. Then usually it goes to an email, right? An email, and then there's an order, right, form here. I wonder if I can delete that.
but this is what I do like about what I'm seeing with this Ifat is you can chunk down on all those little levels with this thing, right? You
Yeah.
can get right down to I need them to sign in, and then I send them an email, and then this happens and this happens. Like you can
Exactly.
get right down to the minute details.
Exactly.
They've got all that represented. That is pretty slick.
Right, and then you can start playing, and like you can see there's so many options. You can have a survey, you can have a content page. So what happens if instead of sending them to an opt-in, I send them to a content page, and now they like me even more? So what if I replace this thank you page with content page, right? So now they opted in, they don't know me, it's called traffic, and now they get to know me because they're consuming my content first. And then from there, I send them an email and an SMS and a phone call and all that stuff. Or what if they opt in and they get to a webinar, right? And now in the webinar, I build relationship with them, or they go to a live call or something like that. Or what if they email, instead of sending them to a buy page, I send them to put up an appointment with me, right? And then after I talk to them, then I send them to the after I talk to them, I send them to the opt-in form. What's my conversion between this and this? It's going to increase. So I can play with the numbers here, and I can just play with all that stuff. And before I go to my web designer and my IT person, and I go like, look, I need this thing that does this thing, I can map it out here. And now for them, it's super easy. It's like, okay, I need to connect this one to an email autoresponder. I need to have the video and the content here. And it's easy for you because you know, okay, I need to give them something to put on this page. This is what it's going to flow like.
Right.
So it's a really, really cool thing. You have chatbots, like you have everything in here. Right?
So not only but I could set that all up, and then when I run my funnel, I could plug the real numbers in. I could save it, right? So that I'm like, here's that version of it, and then I could duplicate it and make one change and run it again, and that's where, right? Like, it's one thing to try to predict how it affects it, but to be able to save the funnel versions and keep re-reporting the numbers and track, then you'd really be able to figure out how just changing one thing makes a big difference, right?
Exactly. And I love that you said that, because it's like sometimes, you know, you're looking at this whole thing and you're like, I don't know what's not working, right? Or what should I focus on? Or what should I tweak? And you don't know what you're tweaking, how it affects the entire system. And this allows you to kind of like, okay, let's just tweak this one part and see what happens. And now you know you can test parts of the system until you really, really optimize it. And that comes into what we talked about. I can't remember how many shows ago, but we talked about the fact that nobody knows anything online, right? Everything is a test. Everything is a test. And so when you are hiring someone to do your Facebook ads, they don't know you, right? So they go and they take the creative ads and they take your audience and they test and they see, like, is this messaging resonates? Does, you know, What image does resonate with your audience? What call to action? They're testing everything. And so you can do exactly the same thing with this one. You can create an hypothesis. Like, I think that if I put this and I put this content and I put blah, 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 I think this is what's going to happen. And then you release it in the wild. And then you come back and you go like, okay, now I know that we sent 100 people here and only 5 of them came here. Okay, well, maybe let's just work on this page and see if we can increase this percentage here, right? Because if we can increase this, and we already know that this goes, this converts to this one.
You know what I have right now that I think this way and I don't know how to get those answers is my Aweber campaigns.
Uh-huh.
Right? It's a similar, when you create I know you use Active Campaign, but when you have a Aweber campaign, you drop these chunks almost like that flow on Geru, right?
Yeah.
And you do it, and then over time it keeps track of how many of that email got opened,
right,
how many people clicked. And I sit there and I go, what do I need to do to get more people to open that email? What do I need to do to get more people to click? And I don't have a way to, it's a constant process, I know, but it's that same thing as I think about that. I go, what if I just do I change the subject line? Do I change the copy in the body of the email? Right. Do I change the picture in the email? And I don't have I can do it, and I do it. I go in but this is part of where I get almost like stressed about it, right? I'm like, it's too much stuff. It's too much.
It is, but you know what's funny about that? It's like it allows you to really become not emotional about your business and about what you're doing, and just look at the numbers, right?
Yeah.
Which to me is so hard because this is my baby.
Yeah.
But it's so hard to kind of like this is, but you should think about it. It's like it's a business, so just numbers in, numbers out. How does it operate? What works? What doesn't work? What's the cogs in the wheel, and how do we make it efficient? And I think this one is like a fantastic way of doing this because if you got this before you started a business at all, if you did some market research before you started a business, plug the numbers from your market research into this one, you can kind of tell whether or not this is going to be profitable for you or not. So you can kind of save yourself time and effort and expense by running simulation on a business you want to start, right? Like, hey, what if I open a Shopify store? Or what if I start selling on eBay? Or what if I, start getting stuff from Alibaba and opening, putting them on Facebook Marketplace? You can put all your expenses here, like your traffic expenses, and see how much that's going to cost you, right? Like the traffic cost, the merchant fees, all that stuff, the refunds, and you can simulate this. And you can get an answer right away whether or not you should even go that route. There are a lot of unknowns because you don't know how people will react. So that's why we always test. But you can kind of get an idea before you go invest months in creating programs and doing all that stuff. If you do two things, you do market research, you find that people really want this, and then you take the information from the market research, you plug it into this one, and you have an idea. And then you kind of like measure the risk, right? Like, hey, is it worth going? Is it not worth going? Should I try it? Should I not try it?
$37 a month.
For Geru?
Yeah. You better be pretty serious about working the funnel game.
So there was a one-time fee for life.
Well, maybe you got in there, but I don't know if they're doing that anymore.
Because
I'm at the pricing page right now, and it says 37. The lowest level is 37. Standard is $37 a month. Pro is $79 a month, and then Enterprise, you have to contact them.
So I got this for. Let me find it for you.
If you purchase a whole year in advance, they'll knock you down to the equivalent of $27 a month for the standard account.
Right.
I'm not
so
seeing
go
any
to this
one-time
link,
fee
Paul.
offers.
Paul, go to this link. Actually, I'll go to this link. Let's see if that works still.
This is where Seagull, she knows, she has the secrets.
So if you go here, blah 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 all the way to the bottom, you get it one-time payment of $64. Or you can buy just for yourself, one-time payment of $67 for life. Life, no monthly fees forever. You're welcome, Paul.
That's so weird. I mean, that's awesome, but I'm like, why would they do that and then have the other page that does the other thing?
Because they want most people to come in, and Carolina goes like,
And
"La, la,
pay
la, la, la."
$37 a month?
Well, that was a promotion that they ran, right? So I grabbed it
Yeah.
during the promotion. I still have the link for the promotion. If you want the link for the promotion, I will share it here, right on this page. Be the naked link. BeTheNakedLink.com.
Be the naked link. It's getting weird now.
It's because of Carolina going la 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 la. So BeTheNakedTruth.com/live. I will share the link to Geru lifetime deals so you can hop in and grab them.
Ifat Cohen, ladies and gentlemen. That's it, right? She always hooks us up. Nice.
That's what we do,
Nice
right?
job.
And speaking of hooking people up, you and I are going to do that right on Friday, right?
Right? We're going to hook somebody else up. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carolina says, nobody beats Ifat. Maybe Leo.
Nobody.
Leo. That is true,
Fair enough.
Carolina. My little lawyer in the making is beating me up every day. So I'll put that link. If you guys have any questions or anything about that and you want to play with it, this is what I'm, diving into playing as I lay out my system. It's probably not going to be very complicated. Simple, right? Keep it simple.
Yeah.
The KISS principle.
Yep.
But we'll see. So one last thing to let you all know, this Thursday, it is That Geek Show. And what we're going to be talking about is it a good time for you to invest in real estate? And if it's a good time to invest in real estate, what truly goes into scaling and profiting from real estate? A lot of people get into that and they think, I just need to buy a house and everything will be great. So I'm bringing you Gary something who has created, I don't know, right? Gary, let me find out the name because this is embarrassing. He has a really long name. And so I keep forgetting what it is. It's Gary Boomershine. Gary Boomershine. He is talking about getting greedy before you get cheap. And he's talking about he created technology that disrupts the whole real estate market that he's going to share with us today. And it has to do a lot with marketing, automation, scaling, and growing a business that you can apply to your business. So that's this Thursday, which means we're not going to be talking about books, but we will be taking your questions tomorrow, Wednesday, at exactly the same time, 11 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern. And the question is, Tom. We'll tell you tomorrow.
Happy
Because
Tuesday.
we're still looking. So if you have any questions for us about Geru, about funnels, about personal development, about business, about marketing, bring them on. You know where to put them. Basically, BeTheNakedTruth.com/ask. Put your questions in. We'll answer them like we did last week and the week before and the week before and maybe next
And the
week.
week before.
And maybe next week. We'll see. So until then, what do you think about Geru?
I like it. I think, again, but the constant battle for me is always a time assessment. How much time would it take me to get good with this tool? And for me, I'm like, and I still think it comes down to how serious about using funnels on a regular basis for your business. If I'm only going to make 1 or 2 funnels a year, then I'm almost like, is that really a tool I need? Because if I'm not going to do it more often, how am I going to really use the tool to learn how to do better funnels, right? So it's like, I think it's a cool tool. It's really not the tool's fault whether I use it or not, right? It's are you serious about getting into using funnels to increase the profitability of your business?
And to that, I'll counter that you're already using funnels anyway. If you're collecting emails, you're using funnels.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're collecting emails, now the question is like, how do I monetize more of the emails that I have? And sometimes it's like, okay, what information do I put in front of them? How do I contact them? How do I engage with them? And that's a funnel. So for $67 one time, I say.
But that's what I mean, though. It's not just $67.
It is.
It's $67 and all of my time using it.
But your time is going to be
Right.
spent. So if you're not using this, you're just going to be guessing. You're going to put the funnels anyway.
Well, I'll be guessing even when I'm using it, though, to some extent. So I guess what I'm saying, Ifad, is this comes down to the old, is it better for you as a small business person to take a tool like this and use it so you do it better? Or are you better off just hiring someone to do it for you? Obviously, hiring someone is going to cost way more money. But if they're really good, does the path to increase profitability happen way quicker, and I save myself the time, I just pay the money?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's one of those things that you always end up having to wonder about when you're in business for yourself.
Yeah. And I always say that it's better to go with a pro, right? Like you want to get in better shape. It's better to take a trainer to just go to the gym, right? You'll actually show up, put the effort, and get these results that you want. So
Yeah.
I would definitely go with someone who knows what they're talking about, especially with all these little levels, and they know the percentages and they know how to set it up. That sounds like a really good idea.
But some people are just natural fits for this, right? There are some people that are going to take a tool like this and they're just going to start cranking out funnels because it's almost like it's in their DNA to do that kind of work, you know? And if
Yeah.
you're one of those people, I mean, think about how much more money you could make by you got to know what's in your DNA, sort of.
Know thyself, right?
Yeah.
Know thyself. What is that? Is that like the pillar of personal development? Know thyself.
It could be. It could be. It
We'll
should
make
be.
it. Should be. There we go. So tomorrow we'll talk to you about we'll answer your questions in real time, face to face, right here. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Hey, if you enjoyed today's episode, come back and spend more time with us. You could be on the broadcast sharing your thoughts. We hang out live Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern at www.bethenakedtruth.com/live.